Is Allen's Lonely Bookshelf. I'm here with what's a book? I'm going to continue my library tour, but I have to stop because this book, The Writer's Journey by Christopher Vogler, will take a long time to explain. The subtitle is Mythic Structure for Writers. This is the third edition. Christopher Vogler was a story consultant for movies like The Fight Club, Thin Red Line, and The Lion King. He also did one called P.S. Your Cat is Dead, which I never read. He takes a concept of Joseph Campbell and Carl Jung uh, book that they did called a Hero with a Thousand Faces. You can take a book, say Homer's The Odyssey or the Iliad, and where you have Onesimus going on a journey, leaving and going on the journey. And he takes that concept and also, you could also use it for Star Wars. It's the same concept. That's why the hero with a thousand faces is the same story. And table one shows you basically a concept, a view of the different structures. The hero with a thousand faces has a departure and a separation. The world of common day, call to adventure, refusal of call, supernatural aid, crossing the first threshold in the belly of the whale. The next section has decent intention, penetration. You have a road of trials, meeting with the goddess, women as a temptress. You have that in the Odyssey. You have atonement with the Father and the ultimate boon. And then when we return, you have refusal of the return, the magic flight, the rescue from within, return, crossing the threshold again. That's the second type. You have to cross the threshold twice. And master of the two worlds and freedom to live. Uh, when the person character that you're writing, the character that you're writing goes through these different things, these different steps. Let's find out what Christopher Vogler wrote. He wrote Act 1. There's three acts here. Act 1, Ordinary World. Call to Adventure. Refusal of the Call. Meeting with the Mentor. And Crossing the Threshold. First threshold. You can see that in the movie Lord of the Rings. Because Sam Gamwise, get the name straight here in a moment. He went with Frodo. Sam was Frodo's mentor, so to speak. In Act 2, you have tests, allies, and enemies. And that is also in Lord of the Rings. You approach the inmost cave and the ordeal. And then you have the reward. In Act 3, you have the road back. You have resurrection and return with the elixir. When they come back to the Hobbiton, to the Shire, the Shire, I got the word right, come back to the Shire, they are changed. Because they are changed. Everything changes. And that's the way it's supposed to be. So I use this in my writing course at SMU. And it came in handy. And it goes through the different, what each one of them mean. Here's little diagrams and steps to use. You have Ordinary World, Call to Adventure, Refusal to Call, Meeting with the Mentor. Then you have Crossing the Threshold, Test Allies and Enemies, Approach. And Act 2 is the Descent. Act 2B is Initiation. And Act 3 is a return. A lot of the authors I've talked to, when I went to get their autograph, I asked them, did they use this book, The Writer's Journey, The Hero Journey, in their stories? And they said, yes, they do. But they make it their own, in other words. And then you can have different people as an archetype of the hero, higher self, shapeshifter, threshold guardian, trickster, shadow, herald, allies, and mentor. Your heroes in the center. And it tells you about the archetypes, the audience. You have different heroes that are listed here. You have character flaws of the hero dealing with death. You can have a loner hero, anti-hero, group-oriented hero, catalyst hero. And the loner heroes is like the Western heroes. It's Shane, Clint Eastwood, Man with No Name, John Wayne's Ethan in The Searchers, or the Lone Ranger. It's basically the journey is the re-entry into the group, adventure with the group's normal turf, the return to isolation, the wilderness. The wonderful shot of John Wayne at the end of The Searchers sums up the energy of this hero type. Wayne is framed in the cabin door as an outsider, cut off from joys, comforts of the family. This kind of hero needs not be limited to the Westerns. It can be used effectively in dramas or action movies, where the loner detective is tempted back into adventure, or a hermit or retired person is called back into society, or where an emotional, isolated person is challenged to re-enter the world of relationships. And so you have like High Noon. High Noon is a classic example of a movie that is a loner type hero. And then you have a chapter on mentor. The wise man or a woman could be. And he has a quote here from George Lucas, "May the force be with you." And you can have an inventor. You can have the sexual invitation, gifts and mythology, and different types of mentors. And the threshold guardian, the herald, and basically what you want to do. And there's the ordinary world. And basically, when it's the call to adventure, he leaves the ordinary world. The hero does. He leaves the ordinary world. When he comes back to that world, he's supposed to change. He is supposed to change. And it says here on the ordinary world, I lost it. In The Hero with 1,000 Faces, Joseph Campbell describes the beginning of the typical hero's journey. The hero ventures forth from the world of a common day to a region of supernatural wonder. And so, just a common day, just average. And then you get a call to adventure, which is a static but unstable condition. And this just takes you through each one of those steps. It takes you through each one of those steps of the hero's journey. And they have questions about it. How did the hero refuse to call him Fatal Attraction? You probably didn't know that, did you? Pretty Woman. That was a hero's journey. And what are the heroes of the story afraid of? What are the false flags of paranormal? And what ways have they refused call to adventure? And what are their consequences are? And so I won't go through all of this, but I'll just point out a couple of them that are good. Here's another questions right here. Campbell says that in myths, the crossing the first threshold is often followed by the hero passing through the belly of the well. He cites stories from many cultures of heroes being swallowed by the giant beast. What sense of the heroes in the belly of the well? And this guy has a question said, early stages of Act 2, Thelma and Louise, Fatal Attraction, again, Unforgiven. And there are other movies, thousands of other movies that are there to come up with an ordeal. So I just want to give you a point to this. And it goes into the back where he sort of uses his one, hero journey in Pulp Fiction. And you have an eternal triangle in Pulp Fiction. And you have a prologue, Ordinary World. It's titled Prologue. Two young people talking in normal Denny's. And the man Pumpkin and woman Honey Bunny are discussing the pros and cons of various forms of armed robbery. That is an ordinary world. Pumpkin's first words were refusal. No, it's too risky. Honey Bunny just made a call by proposing they rob another liquor store. The ordinary world. While demeaning Asians, Jews who run the liquor stores, they get into and invokes a mentor of sorts, referring to sort of bank robbery, which robbers use terror and trickery to seize control. Pumpkin and his daffy girlfriend cross the threshold, waving the guns, bringing instant death into play. And then here's one on Vincent and Jules from the same movie. Now, the first time we see two protagonists, Vincent Vega and Jules Winfield, driving an American car. They are in an ordinary world because they're having a conversation about fast food menus and customs in ordinary Europe. And Vincent spent a lot of time in Europe where things are different. Big Mac is called Le Big Mac in France, and rules about drugs in Amsterdam are different. He has been to the special world. And then they come into an apartment for an mission. The conversation turns to Mia, a shapeshifter, wife of the criminal boss Marcellus Wallace, Mr. Big. First note of the call to adventure for Vincent, who has put in a difficult position of being asked by Marcellus to escort his wife on a day while he's in Florida. The danger of this call is made clear. A form of refusal. And then a long pause at the door, they cross the threshold, entering the apartment, three young guys. And it comes upon a big kahuna burger. And confronting the terrified young man, Vincent and Jules are heralds of bringing a fatal call, acting as a moment in the air, allies of death, the servants of the shadow. They are agents of Nemesis, the goddess of retribution. He brings punishment on those who offend the order of the gods. The god, in this case, Marcellus Wallace. Brent and Roger have offended Mr. Big by trying to cheat him of the deal of a briefcase. And Jules performs a passage from Ezekiel 25:17. And a miracle occurs where they don't get shot. Then Vincent Vega and Marcellus Wallace's wife. And then it goes on and on and on with them both in the ordinary world. They cross in the threshold, meet a mentor. They cross the threshold. They meet tests, allies, enemies. And this goes on and on throughout the entire story, the entire movie. So, and he has another one here on Star Wars. So I just wanted to bring this to your attention and maybe pick it up because it's very good how to write, how to go through the process of writing, coming up with some ideas. Thank you very much and have a good day.